For Buddhism, it's like this. We approach each and every experience right now with a certain framework, a certain kind of structure. And that structure is based upon the accumulation of ignorance. An ignorance that doesn't come from some once upon a time event, but which is occurring in each and every moment. What is that ignorance? It's the ignorance of imposing upon our experience the idea that somebody owns that experience, that there is an owner, that there is a truly existent self, permanent, autonomous, and singular, who owns every single experience that occurs. And as I impose that notion onto this experience at this moment, I immediately impose another one, which is that there is separate from me a world of objects, a world of things and beings out there who are not myself, who are separated from me by a gulf, by an abyss. And that is the fundamental pattern that underlies all our experience. And yet, it's just a bubble, just a mistake, just a misreading. Yet I cling to it so tenaciously, and have clung to it so tenaciously, well, as we Buddhists would say, from beginningless time. And yet, all the time, while I'm clinging to this fiction, the nature of mind underneath remains pure, open, limpid, clear, untarnished by whatever mistaken reading I project upon it. That's why Lord Buddha said, everybody has the potential to become a Buddha. Because what does a Buddha mean? It means somebody who's awakened to the true nature. And awakened to the true nature, of course, indicates that right now we're living in a dream state. And yet at all time, in every moment, it's possible to awaken from that. We're kind of bewitched. Now, described the way I've done so, it seems like, well, okay, so maybe you're saying people don't understand the nature of mind, the nature of experience. They project a wrong kind of interpretation on it, but so what? If that were all that was to it, it would be of little consequence. But it's not an exam in philosophy we're talking about, because this misreading of the world, this misreading of experience, is catastrophic in its results. Because every time I misread experience as something that I own, I immediately, of course, posit an object that I own, or an object out there that's separate from me. It's in a way like I've divided myself from the rest of experience. I've divided myself from the rest of the world. In claiming that I am a permanent, singular, autonomous entity, I'm trying to freeze the world, a world which is ever moving, ever changing, and I've cut it in half. I've torn it asunder. And now out there is the rest of the world, full of all those separate beings, all those separate objects, all those separate things. and yet I feel uneasy. I don't feel secure. In opting for what I think is the security of I need to reinforce it because it's actually terribly fragile. How can it not be, since it's based upon a fiction? And to support this fragile little notion of self, I need lots and lots of things. I need to gather as many things as I can. In other words, I leads to mine. I must have more. So I look at the world with one eye, seeing what there is in the world that can make me possibly feel secure, that can fill the hole I've created by divorcing myself from experience, by splitting my world in two. And so I see half the world as fascinating and helpful for my security. And the emotion I feel towards that kind of driven compulsion to have, to possess, to seize, to hold, to keep, we can call it desire. We can call it attachment. We can call it greed. It's all of those things. Yet, no sooner do I read half the world in that, and of course I've got another half of the world out there, which I now read in a very different way. It's threatening. It's dangerous. It's powerful. It's potentially overwhelming for my fragile sense of security. So now I've got enemies. I've got that which may well destroy my sense of security. But you can't have enemies without this grasping at the world for security. And you can't have hatred without desire. And both of these, hatred, aggression to that which is alien, that which threatens me, and desire for that which makes me feel secure, both of them rest on the pivot of ignorance, of grasping at this notion of a self, somehow separate from, not part of, the dance that is reality, standing to one side, but wishing to take from the world what will make it secure, and destroy in the world what will make it insecure. That's the situation I'm in. That's how I experience each and every moment of my life. Assessing what will make me feel secure or what will damage my security. I live in a world of desirable objects and hateful objects, of friends and enemies. My allies, my enemies. Desirable objects, undesirable objects. And reading the world in this way, I'm compelled to act. I must grab at the world, take from it what will make me secure. So with one hand I do this. I'm pillaging the world, looting the world. Oh yes, sometimes I do it with charm. Sometimes I do it with the practiced seducer's smile. I know the right things to say. Sometimes I just grab. Sometimes I'm polite. But with the other arm, I'm having to fend off that which might steal these things from me. Because even if I can grab some of the world and take it back to my cave, how long have I got before somebody else comes and takes it from me? That's the way I feel. So I'm fighting a battle against enemies with my left hand and grabbing parts of the world with my right. No wonder I'm tired. No wonder I'm dizzy. And no wonder I'm unsuccessful. In fact, even when I take things that I like back to my cave, usually they crumble in my hands. They don't turn out to give the security and happiness I wanted. So my actions are against others. My actions are actions compelled by desire to appropriate and hatred compelled to destroy, to attack, to disable at least, if not to fully destroy. We call these actions, we call all actions in Buddhism actually, karma. Karma means actions. That's all. But right now, most of my actions are compelled by that triad of ignorance, desire, and hatred. And what results from that? Suffering. Suffering. Why? Because the world doesn't come to my order. Because I'm contending with reality on the basis of a fiction. I'm imagining that I can chop the world up into the two discrete halves, that which I like, that which I don't like, and that I can have all that I like and reject all that I don't like. But I never can. Reality eludes me at all times. The world is a slippery place. It's a shadowy world. I can't grasp it. Even those things I grasp at, thinking they'll give me security, they turn into something else. So I'm fighting a losing battle at all times. And yet every time I am disappointed, every time I could, if I just paused and asked myself, what am I doing? And why am I doing it? And is this going to work? I don't. I know they say hope springs eternal in the human breast, but foolishness does too. So I try again. I go for another one. I fight again with the world. But I get more desperate. I get more attached, more greedy, more needy, and at the same time more hateful, more paranoid. And yet I keep repeating the same old mistakes. Different places, different faces, but I keep repeating the same old mistakes. And according to Buddhism, we think this is something that's been going on since beginningless time. You know, it was an old story long before I was born in this life. It drove me here. It'll drive me elsewhere. And that sense of being driven on by my neurotic actions founded on that triad of the disturbing emotions, we call in Sanskrit samsara. It doesn't mean some fancy French scent. Well, it does. If you want to waste 50 pounds on it, it means a cycle of suffering. Maybe we need some scent in samsara to take away the rotten smell. And that's where we are. We're all in samsara, hoping against hope that the next time will be the big one, the right one, the one that will bring permanent happiness, the land of permanent bliss.